Hey everybody, it is Alexis Sierra, and you are at the Boss Circle After Show Q&A, hun. Welcome everybody. Let me know that you are in the comment section. Say hey, let us know that you are here. Sound off in the comments. If you are on YouTube, if you are on Facebook, hit us up. Let us know that you are here. I'm so excited to have you guys on here today. We had such a great episode this week on my Boss Circle podcast. If you haven't checked out the episode, it is streaming live right now. It's streaming live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, on your favorite podcast platform, whatever that is. Even if it's Anchor, it's on the live stream. Do you hear me? It's streaming now on all podcast platforms. And I'm so excited because this episode this week was a power-packed and gem-filled episode with one of my boss friends. She is the digital and social media marketing boss. Everybody, please welcome my boss friend, Miss Casey Knox. Hey,
Hello.
Casey.
Hey, how are you doing, Alexis? Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Casey. We are so excited to have you. Hey, everybody, let us know if you just joined in on the live stream. Join us in the comments and say hello. We are taking all questions right now for the My Boss Circle podcast after show Q&A. This episode was really awesome because we got to talk about everybody's favorite thing and how to do it the right way. And that's digital and social media. Like, who doesn't like a good website and who doesn't like social media? I mean, this is where we are right now, streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. So if you guys are here, please let us know and sound off in the comments, guys. So Casey, just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. For those who haven't heard the episode, it is available now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Google Podcasts. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Casey.
Okay, great. So I'm middle career right now. I graduated from college with a marketing degree, and I kind of just jumped right in. And I was pretty much working while I was getting my degree at the same time. And so I've had about 5 different career moves, probably pretty big ones in my career that's taken me from an account services level to a director level. And that's pretty much where I am right now. So I'm at a tech company. I just moved from Chattanooga to Atlanta, and I'm their director of marketing there. And it's been really fun. They never had that position before. So it's, there's pros and cons with taking over somebody's position or starting a brand new one. So any kind of change is fun and exciting for me. And I've been there for about 7 months now. And hopefully you'll listen to the podcast. I don't want to tell too much about my story, but that kind of just gives you an idea of where I am right now.
Yes. So for everybody who is just tuning in, I saw some people show up in the comment. Hi, Alicia. She is on YouTube right now, tuning in with us for the after show Q&A. Everybody, this is Casey Knox. Listen, 20 years in the digital and social media marketing lane. And I mean, she is so good at what she does. I mean, we are both entrepreneurs. For those who don't know, the entrepreneurs are your bosses who actually have a 9 to 5 during the day, but they also have a business and a brand that they manage on the side as well.
Yeah.
So listen, I mean, we have so much fun every day because we get to be creative together in our same workspace as well, while I'm the sales director and she is our marketing director. So we get to work together and I really get to see her creative space. I mean, it's just amazing the types of things that Casey comes up with. It's always so much fun. On the podcast, I talked a little bit about my first experience in meeting Casey and how we did a brainstorm session where she actually had everyone just spit out words, just random words, so that we could kind of rebuild a strategy for a new brand, basically. And it was the most unique thing, kind of all of the different things that she came up with. I really wanted Casey to kind of show you guys some of her work. So I'm actually going to kind of give Casey the floor right now. So
Thank
Casey,
you.
I'm going to pull up. So tell us about this first thing that we're going to see right here.
And it's gonna look a little messy. This is this is kind of behind the scenes is what I like to call this. And this is an artboard that I work off of. So if you're working on a campaign, if you're rebranding something, you'll hopefully, if you're a marketing director like me, or if you aspire to be in this position, you'll usually end up somewhere like this, where you can pull things together, pull ideas together, and start to formulate concepts. And so this is a campaign that we're working on. And so the end result, there's email, there's social media, there's a PDF digital download involved. And so it's not really going to go offline because of COVID, and we're having to do everything digital right now. So it's all online, but I do emphasize, and I'll preach it, from the rooftops, no matter what's going on in the world, that if you can get online and offline, it's going to resonate a lot more and stick with people. So if you look across the top, or even in the far left, so ready, set, sell is that first block on the far left. And that's the name of the campaign. It's a brand new name. That's the whole kind of concept. It's action oriented. It's short, sweet, to the point. And hopefully draws people in with color and things like that. But so I pretty much take that, and then I think through an entire email campaign, and then I just build off of the color and the patterns and the other things that I pull in as well. And so the end result, it looks a lot different than this, but this is kind of like my board. And you can start on a whiteboard, or you can start online. And this is, I use Adobe Illustrator. It's probably one of my favorite Adobe platforms. And so I pull everything in on there and just mess with it until I can get it to a good place. So that's
awesome.
Behind the scenes idea. So
love it. So tell us a little bit about this next slide right here.
So I'm going to just jump and just do a complete 180 pretty much, as far as just the creative and what you just saw. But so this is a fitness club. I had this client for a while, and in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they came up with, we needed to name it. So we had to name a new fitness program, and then they carved out a space in the club. And then I got to wrap the walls with creative and different messaging.
Wow.
And the people that are in the creative are actual members. So that's really cool as well. That was part of the branding and part of our overall strategy. But we came up with the tagline, Stronger for Life. And then there's just different messaging around there. So campaigns can end up being part of your branding. And I actually talk about that in the podcast as well, where Chick-fil-A did that, where they had the Eat More Chicken campaign. And then now it's their tagline and it's part of their brand. So campaigns can start off short term, but then they can have a lot of longevity. And so this we knew was going to be long term. So we wanted to come up with some classic wording for the wall. But it's really fun.
I love that. I love it. It's really nice. And it stands out.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you always talk about the power of words when it comes to building up your brand, no matter what your business is.
Yeah. I mean, whether you're sending an email or whether it's part of your tagline, words are just, it's communication. So it's critical. But whether you're doing social media, digital, whether it's a t-shirt, anything like that, just the messaging is always important.
Definitely. You've done some really, really unique things, especially for all of my people who are in the retail space. This part is definitely really good for you.
Oh, yeah. And this was fun. So, and this just goes back to the whole idea of a campaign too, where whether it ends up on an umbrella or a t-shirt or coasters or, but you should think about all the different ways, all the unconventional ways. I've done a lot of things with car magnets and how those end up or decals on cars and how those can be part of a campaign. But literally in 2018, I probably designed over 150 t-shirts.
Wow.
I was in-house at the time at this private school, and there was athletic wear and leisure wear. And we just had to keep on coming up with designs and selling shirts to the parents. And they had a storefront, so the students would shop there as well. But it's just fun and fresh, and it feels branded. So that's one thing, like whether you see their logo, you see similar color schemes. And so that's a critical part of the branding process.
That's really cool. And this is really unique here. So tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so this goes back. So we're jumping back to Sports Barn. And so we ended up naming it Training Zone. And the quote that you see on the wall on the far left, it says, "It never gets easier. you just get better. And so those are just motivational, inspirational type of quotes that we would put on the wall. And one of the people that work at Sports Barn came up with that, and that came out of one of those brainstorming sessions that you were talking about earlier, Alexis.
Nice. I love that. Love that.
So, and the same thing, it's part of it. Running is cheaper than therapy. It actually made a couple of people mad because they, so you never know if it's a risk, when you put a message on a wall, you never know who's going to be offended, who's going to love it, or how it's going to resonate. But we kept it, and there's nothing offensive about it technically, but and then stronger for life. That's actually the Sports Barn's tagline, the client that I had. So it's great.
That's really awesome.
Has a retro feel, yeah.
Listen, I know that people say all the time that, you're always kind of taking that risk when you are coming up with taglines and building different strategies. How do you help companies kind of get past that? When they have chosen a tagline or something that may even offend the people who they're actually trying to brand with.
Well, yeah. And so the offensive thing is really, it's really important to vet. Like, that's why when you're brainstorming and when you have people that are looking, you always want a lot of eyes on anything I look at. I'm always like, can you put eyes on this? Can you put eyes on this? You want different people looking at it because you want to know, like, I might not understand how it offends somebody, but I want to know if it does or not. And so that kind of stuff is super important. Especially, how it hits home for people and you just don't know, but running is cheaper than therapy. We vetted that pretty hard. So we upset one person. We're like, okay, we right. But then you have to be careful because of social media. Like, it can play to your advantage and it can hurt you. Like when the power went out at the Super Bowl years ago and Oreo tweeted, you can still dunk your Oreos in the dark. And they got so much free publicity out of that. And that was a risk. And you don't know and they couldn't plan for that, but they reacted to it and responded and it paid off. And, and it was a positive thing. So that was an easy one and a slam dunk, no pun intended, but, it can go south too, and sometimes you don't know and you can't predict it, but the best thing to do is to vet it and get as many different people with as many different backgrounds to look at it as possible.
Yes. I saw we had a comment. Alicia thought that your presentation was really nice, all of the work that you've done.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So everybody, if you are just joining the stream, please sound off in the comments. Let us know that you are there. This is a perfect time to ask any question that you want to know from our digital and marketing social media marketing executive boss friend, Casey Knox. She is the person that you want to ask your questions to, especially when you're growing your business and growing your brand and really trying to use digital platforms to do so. I know that there has to be a science to it because I have watched Casey take people's websites that didn't even make nowhere near the first page on Google to the front page. And at the top, is it the SEO? Did I say that right, Casey?
Right. The SEO, yeah. It's way easier than saying search engine optimization. That's too long of a word. So, but yeah, SEO is critical. I mean, that's why posting anywhere from posting on social media to how you tag the descriptions on the website to sending out emails and linking back to your website. I mean, there's 5 or 6 different things that you should be thinking about at all times in order to get your search rankings up from page. You want to be on the first 3 pages. Everybody kind of understands that there's ads on the page now, and a lot of people look past those and they want to see the organic listings. And so people will usually dig, statistics show down up to 3 pages. So being within 3 is great. Getting on page 1 is supreme.
Yeah, definitely. So what's some advice that you can give to, I know we have a lot of Boss Circle members, community members specifically, that have businesses that are specifically online or on social media, about kind of what approach they should take when really trying to start to get their brand out there on social media.
So there's a few things that I would say, just 2 tips that I can think of off the top of my head is, so you want to post frequently. You want to post at least 3 times a day, I would say, and you can schedule it out. And just because you post something one time doesn't mean that you never have to talk about it again. Whenever you do post, you should be so intentional about it that you think, how can I post about this? And then how can I talk about it a little bit differently and post about it again and again? Because the chances of somebody seeing it, if you post it 3 times, is a lot higher than if they only see it than if you only post it 1 time. So that's one thing I would say. The second piece of advice that I would give is that nowadays you have to pay to play. And so I say that all the time with digital and social media. You can't just expect to go on there and post something on Instagram and Facebook and to get a lot of engagement. You've got to put some money behind it. And so the easiest way to start to do that is on Facebook and on Instagram is to boost the post and put $5 behind it if you're a small business. And you can choose some targeting. This I always say this isn't rocket science. This is things that they created it so that anybody could figure it out. So those are 2 things off the top of my head that I would recommend people really investing time in considering adding that to their strategy.
Yeah, I agree. Alicia said that she was just about to ask about SEO.
Yeah, a whole episode on a podcast. Literally, it's dense. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, okay, she said, what are some tips or resources available to improve SEO?
So there's some really great free tools out there. We like free 99. We always say that.
Yes, we do.
So there's some really great free tools, and I can post them in the comments after. It's hard to remember all the URLs, but there's websites, that will analyze your website and tell you what your keywords are and tell you what pages you're ranking on. You want to find out where you are. And so one of the easiest ways besides using a tool is to go to Google. And to think of, if I was somebody looking for my business, what would I search for? And you kind of have to think of, like, they're called long tail and short tail keywords. So short tail is like 3 words, maybe 4. Long tail, somebody's just going to go in there and start and type, 8 or 9 words at a time. So build up a list of where you want to rank, words that you want to rank for. At the company I'm at now, RGI, we do direct mail, we do digital, we do lead generation, we do recruitment. So I'll think of a bunch of keywords and then I'll go on Google and search. And a good thing to do is to make sure that your location listing is set for United States. And then if you want it, because it's going to be different everywhere. Like if you're a nationwide company, you might rank different in Texas than you do in Georgia. So you need to be thinking about that as well. There's so much that goes into SEO, but just understanding your keywords and knowing that list. And if in a dream scenario, if you could get 5 or 6 different types of keywords on a page 1, what would those be? So understanding it and then tracking it over time with free and paid tools. And so that's one thing, is you got to look at the data and care about the data. The next thing is, how do we make all that work? So it's having the right things on your website. It's posting on social media and linking back to your site. That's why having a blog is so important, because that gives your website fresh content, but it also gives people a place to come back to. So that's another thing, like with the website, besides the descriptions, am I updating the content that people see on a regular basis? One last tip I'm going to give with that is, when you're updating your website and you update the content that people see, the best thing to do is put the content on there and let it sit out there for literally a couple of months. You've got to let the ranking and the search and on Google. So you can't just go up there and change the content every day. You've got to let it sit out there for a little bit. So it's called spiders, and I can't stand spiders, but so the spiders can crawl the site. I don't love that, but I do love what it does. And I love getting people on page 1 or 2 or 3. So
I love it. Hi, Precious. Precious said that she has shared the live. Everybody, make sure that you hit that share button. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, share this with everyone you know. Casey Knox, our boss friend, is here and she is taking questions. I saw another question come up in the comments from Marvin. What are your thoughts on location-based marketing, specifically targeting locations based on company or position, or any tips for local marketing versus national?
Okay, the first thing that comes to mind with local marketing is if you do have a presence in different cities, you have to set up your Google search listing. You have to go and set up your Google account and make sure that your location is tagged. And that's one of the most beneficial and strongest SEO tactics that you can do to help the search rankings for your website and things like that. So having your Google directory listing set up and completely and verified is like step one with location-based marketing, I would say. And then, gosh, beyond that, I'm a huge proponent of whether you're B2B or B2C. People love transparency. And so when you're posting online, I think sharing the company story, a lot of people don't want to do something like if they're merging or if they're well, unless you can announce the merger, but if you're moving locations and you're building a new headquarters, like sharing that process and telling that story. Don't wait for it to be completely done and just show the shiny new object, like show all the work that went into it. And so anything with location-based marketing, whether it's sharing stories of your employees or if your clients will let you talk about them. But that type of transparent stuff hits home for people and it resonates with them and it helps them build trust for your brand and gives you credibility.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you, Marvin, for that question. Listen, I mean, you dropped some serious gems throughout that entire podcast.
I loved it.
It was so much fun to really be a part of that interview. And if you guys have not heard episode 5 with Casey Knox, our social media and digital marketing boss friend, please go check it out, subscribe, and also rate it 5 stars on Apple. Follow it on Spotify. Make sure you leave a review as well on both Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. On your favorite podcast platform, whatever that is, just make sure that you are listening and subscribing so that you can get the episodes when they upload at midnight. But listen, Casey's episode is full of so many great tips for all of these entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs out here who are really trying to grow their business and doing it in the social and digital space. All of us really want to be great at it, but we're not at Casey's level, so it helps to get all of this great insight. Because yes, I mean, listen, I tell you, Casey makes me look good every day at work.
That's like, I will say, like, I'm going to plug that for a second, where if you have a sales or business development department and there's a marketing department, the better you guys can work together and include each other in the process, the better the end result's going to be, which is building revenue and building the company and profitability and things like that. But the relationship between sales and marketing is so critical. I can't emphasize it enough. Like, it needs to be your New Year's resolution if it's not something that you can check that box and go, yes, we have a great relationship, because it's like she's sales, I'm marketing, and we work so well together. And it really does.
Mm-hmm.
It helps my creative process. It makes me more creative, and I'm giving them things that they can work with and use, and I'm listening to them. And it's just a great collaborative relationship. So.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I saw we had another question come in. Marvin said, talk about pricing for individual content marketing creators. Someone who has taken classes or just got a degree in marketing but wants to be a contractor. Any pricing tips you have?
Oh, so
that's a good question.
It's like a peer. So they're doing what I'm doing, and how much do they charge? Is it that?
Correct.
How much do people charge? Oh, wow. Okay. Let's see. So, and this is a great question. And there's a Facebook group called Marketing Communications Women of Atlanta. And so his name is Marvin. So I don't know. but people post, and they'll post and ask about this all the time. I will say, I always go to Google and I default to, there's actually a website that gets so detailed, and I'll find what it is and I'll post it in the comments, but it lets you put in all the different aspects of your project, and it tells you how much you should charge. And it even lets you put the location in. So, I mean, marketing, advertising, hourly rates, I do this. So if you feel like you know what you're worth from an annual standpoint, you break it down and back it up that way. So if let me make up a number, like if you're like, I should be making $100,000 a year if I work at a full-time job. So then you divide that by 52 for 52 weeks out of the year, 50, and then 40 hours a week. And then you figure out what your hourly rate is. So that's one way to go about it. And then you can put a price tag on that. I like to put a price tag on actual projects. So I charge, here's the branding project, and here's if I do the website as well. So that's one thing that I do. And so content marketing, though, like specifically per post, I usually work on campaigns, and I've never done just content marketing for somebody. So I usually only charge by the hour, or I charge by a project. So I would approach content marketing the same way though.
I love it. I love it. I want to show everybody before we go. I really want to show off my favorite thing that you've done for me thus far. And that is my campaign. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Is it up?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yes. So tell us how you made this, kind of how you decided to go about making this campaign.
So this was a really awesome campaign because we email C-suite. We do awesome email campaigns just promoting what we do at RGI. And so we were doing campaigns, and I use Constant Contact right now, and they give us great data and insights. And so it gave me a list of high engagers, and that's anybody that opens the emails and clicks on them a lot. And so they're interested, but then they just haven't taken that last step to reach it back out to us. So I said, goes back to what I was talking about earlier with company transparency. So I mean, this stuff isn't rocket science. It's you can use it you can apply this to any type of campaign pretty much. Where I said, we need them to meet our sales director, Alexis, because she's awesome. And this puts a face to the ideas that we've been sending them. And then this is going to maybe help them, nudge them a little further to go, okay, oh, there's the person. That's who I'd be talking to. Let me engage with them. So it gives them a first impression even at a deeper level, because we're showing them who they'd be talking to. And so I created this from an art board like I showed you earlier, but I just started with Alexis and put her right at front and center. And then I asked her to send me kind of her highlights and resume. And then I just made it visual and content friendly. So,
Love it.
Had some fun looking movement with the arrows and highlights her experience. So you can, and I'm really big on content where you can look at it and read it at a high level, or if you want to read every word you can. But I like if somebody can just kick cursory glance at a paper or at a screen, they can get an idea of what's going on without having to read the whole thing.
That's awesome. And I love how you made it all about meeting me. And then you got into, you were able to tie into what I do, what I bring to the table versus what I can do with you at the company, which was really, really great.
Yeah. And it's fun because it's taking how the process works. And then how do we tell that story to potential clients? And so it's fluid, it's a fluid process because it's actually how we do things. So it's, we're not making stuff up or trying to glamorize anything. We're just, but it looks pretty. So that helps. But there's a famous quote, something about if it doesn't work, then it's not creative enough. So you want to bring creativity and freshness and color and vibrancy. And I mean, you sell it yourself because that's an amazing headshot. So it's an easy step.
Thank you.
From that one. You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Listen, so I know we talked about how important it is for business owners, especially those who are out there doing consulting, to be able to prove that you can actually do your work and how you can do that through case studies. So let's talk a little bit about that because, I love this case study. It's my favorite thing to use. I mean, it stands out to me immediately because it says level up with talent acquisition.
Oh yeah. The name, that's the messaging. It's got to be strong and a headline type of feel. But this actually, I feel like this came about, Alexis, because I was working on different projects, but I feel like you said, I need a case study. I need something to give these people, that I'm talking to, and it gives us credibility. And so I said, let's have a 15-minute conversation. And so we sat down with people that have done this at our company in the past, internal people on our team. And we had a 15-minute conversation, got the details. And then I turned this around. And so case studies, they can be 5 or 6 pages if you want them to. They can be in a book, but I feel like people don't have a lot of time, and we're kind of on information overload from all the emails, and we're just inundated with content all the time. And whether it's on TV and the news, or whether you're getting an email or a text, or you're on Facebook and then you're talking on your phone. And so if you can get it all on one page, I feel like that's your best shot with somebody to actually read this and take some time with it. So that's what we did here. We got the whole case study on one page. And I always feel like it's got to be high level work. You got to have headlines on there, and then you've got to have some kind of visual play. And so the results are on the right side, and they're if you scroll down a little bit, you can see them. So there's 3 key results. And so those are called out. and you can read them at a high level, or you can read the whole story to the left. But sometimes people are like, I want to know what you're talking about and what the result was. And so that's the two things right there, front and center for them to see. And then if they want to actually go through everything else, they can. But some people are like, oh, 10-week digital campaign, 500 leads, 40% conversion rate, 40% conversion rate. And then, that tells the story itself to some people. Sometimes that's all somebody needs to hear. And then they're like, sign me up, and then some people need a little bit more. So that's the approach with case studies. And it seems to work, and, people seem to like them. So hopefully it's a success.
I love it. Listen, it's like my favorite thing for you to do, because I feel like it keeps me from having to work so hard for them to believe me when they're meeting a brand new brand, that they've never interacted with before.
Oh yeah. And that's my job, is to help. How do I sell sales, and how do I make them look good? And, which y'all, they make it easy. You guys are experts in what you do. So
thank you. I saw we have another question in the comment section from Alicia on YouTube. What are your thoughts on using hashtags?
I think about it day and night, and I use them all the time. So hashtags are so important. On Twitter, they're very important. On Instagram, they're very important. Content discovery is such an important part of people's feeds. Like, you can follow a hashtag on Instagram, and you can just bounce right over to that feed, and that's all you're looking at. Whether you're collecting ideas on outfits, or whether you're, if you want to I follow like the hashtag innovation, because I want to say, what do people think of, what do people consider innovative, or what do people consider as innovation? So I'll follow that hashtag, and I'll sit there and look through it. Twitter, it's key. It's actually part of the conversation. It's a huge part. People follow. There's Twitter chats, just like we're doing right now. There's Twitter chats. I've hosted those and been on those before, where the whole conversation is based on a hashtag. So hashtags are critical, whether you're B2B or B2C. I think you need to know them, understand them, and use them. Use them wisely, but use them all the time.
I love it. I love it. So Casey, tell everyone where they can find you on social.
Sure. So that's my name. If you look on the screen with the pink tag, Casey May Knox, that's my name on Instagram and on Twitter. And you can go to CaseyKnox.com. You can see the spelling on the screen for my first and last name, but CaseyKnox.com, and that'll lead you to all my social media as well. But there's also an email button on there. So feel free to email me a question. I don't mind doing that. Haven't been doing a lot of public speaking since COVID-19. So answering emails kind of, it's like a philanthropic thing. I feel like to give people advice. There is a limit to that, but I don't mind giving people, random marketing advice here or there. So
that's awesome. So for those of you who haven't already, check out Casey Knox's episode on My Boss Circle podcast. It is streaming now on all podcast platforms. That's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Make sure that you go check it out now. It is Journey to a Digital and Social Media Marketing Boss with Casey Knox. So guys, make sure that you go and check it out. It is streaming right now. So as soon as you get off this live, make sure that you go check it out. And Casey, thank you so much for joining us for the My Boss Circle After Show Q&A. We really appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks for having me. And thanks for having me on the podcast as well.
Thank you. Listen, it was such a pleasure. Everybody go check out that gem-filled episode. Thank you so much, everybody. Make sure that you share this episode, and make sure that you subscribe to My Boss Circle and follow Miss Casey Knox. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Bye.